we're nearly at the end. Today is Junk Journal July Embellishments Day number 28, and it's going to be short, sweet and quick today. So everyone and their auntie has made these on video, and I'm going to be one of those as well. But I want to do it because I want to encourage you again to look at your scraps. So this is the 3 stages that I use for making my clusters. So I went through a load of my scraps and I ripped them into various shapes and sizes. Sometimes I think we make our clusters too big, and we need to remember that they're sometimes to go on smaller items. So I'm going to pick at random a couple from the back, a couple from the middle, and a couple from the front. There we go, that'll do me. And let's see what we can make. So first of all, I'm going to kind of sort them into colours a little bit, because I'm doing an autumn journal. So let's put all the greens together. Obviously I want to, keep that in consideration. So those are all my vellum ones. And you can do some long strips, and you can do some small squarish type ones. Okay, we've got some vintage book page, another long strip, vintage book page, vintage book page, vintage book page, vellum. I seem to have picked up quite a bit of vellum. Purpley, vintage, randoms. Okay. So as I say, I put mine together smaller than normal. So I don't do many strip ones. So I would probably, as I say, because I'm working on my autumn journal, great for autumn, that. Maybe a little bit of vellum on there. So I do them in groups of 3s normally. Actually, that one would look quite nice as well. And I try not to think about it too much, because I think that that's the other thing that we can do, is we just tend to think about it. Now, this has got an awful lot of white edge on. So, yeah, I'm going to ink it. Takes me 2 seconds. I think I might even want a bigger. Do I have a bigger piece? Not particularly. Maybe a little bit. And I'm just going to staple mine together. Of course, you can stitch these if you wish, but I'm just going to staple in the middle. One done. And again, this is a lovely little job to do when you're sat in front of the TV. Let's do a longer one. I'll just offset these a little bit. Another one that I think needs inking up. Bit of inky do. I don't know why I say that, and I don't know where it comes from. But there you go. The oddities of Carol. Again, I'm just going to staple in the middle for now. In fact, I think I want that way around. In fact, yeah, don't think about it too much, Carol. Let's have you going that way, you going that way. And then she ends up thinking about it too much. longer one. Let's do a purple and green. Big bit, lots of white, needs inking. So we want some big, some small, some long. Use that bit of book page, I think. I might even live dangerously, put 4 on. No, I'm not. I'm going to put 3 on. Said 3, stick to 3. 1, 2, 3. Johnny caught a flea, put it in his pocket and he had it for his tea. I say that a lot as well, don't I? In fact, I've noticed that lately. I'm saying an awful lot of things over and over. Do you think it's an age thing? Okay, I'm going to carry on messing about with these. I might add a few more bits of paper to just get everything to go together, and we'll see what we end up with. So stage number 1 was going through all your scraps, ripping them up into pieces. Stage number 2 was collating together just a selection of different papers. And I've got 2 different collections here, so I've got sort of squarish ones in this little pouch and longish ones in this little pouch here. Now I like to get to this stage and then leave it until I'm ready to decorate up my journal and decide which ones I'm adding to which pockets or journaling cards or envelope, you know, whatever you're going to add it to. I don't want to do this 3rd stage until I'm ready to put it into my journal. So what then do you add to these things to make them decorative and look attractive? Well, you will need to go through your own bits and pieces, and there's lots and lots and lots of things that you can add. So you could add some cheesecloth, you could add some lace, you could add some doilies, you could add flowers. The list just goes on and on and on. Just to give you some examples, so this was, as I've said before, this was a freebie on my Ko-fi shop, and it's a selection of flowers, and in fact I want to print it off again, but because I want to print them just a little bit smaller. So you could just add a flower onto it. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you what you could add them to at the same time, because this could actually make a lot of difference as to the sorts of things that you could add to. So we made pockets in the beginning of this journey in July, and that might affect what I want to decorate it up with. So as I've said, you could add the flower. Now if I'd added the flower beforehand and then put the cluster on, it might not have gone colour wise or decorative wise with what I want to attach it to. So that's why I don't like decorating these things up until I'm ready to decorate these things up. I could add a little bit of crochet doily, put the cluster on the top, put the flower on top of that. So you can layer, oh, wrong way around. So you could layer these up as much or as little as you want. Another alternative. I've got a little ticket here, so we could put a ticket on and then put the flower on. I've got a little photograph, so I could put the photograph on. Again, it depends on the style of journal that you're creating as well. I have some old vintage adverts, so I could cut those out and stick one of those on. I've got myself some pretend wax seals, so I could position that one there, and these are my punched out flowers that I did on one of the days, so I could add some of those, put you under there, And each time you add different elements to each of the clusters, it starts to give a totally different effect. And as I say, that's why I like to get them to this stage, leave them at that stage, and then decorate them up. Once I start adding them to my different elements. So again, this was one of the items that we produced in the Junk Journal July embellishments. It's a wraparound pocket. Let's just try that one. So I could put that on there. Add the leaves. Add a ticket. And that might just be enough for that particular piece of embellishment that I'm going to be creating in the journal. So those are basically my 3 stages. What I would suggest you do is you get together a little collection of bits and pieces. So I've got these 2 bags of ready to go clusters, but get a 3rd bag ready so that you can put some of these little elements in a bag, so that all you've got to get out is your 3 little bags and you're ready to go and start decorating. Think about the colours or the types of journals that you create, and that helps you to then put together a little collection of bits and pieces to help you decorate them up when it comes to doing your journal. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into how I create my clusters and the thought process behind creating them, and I hope that you find it really helpful. Okay, that was it, me done, short and sweet. Thank you for joining me for 2 videos yesterday. Was to keep you occupied for a little while, and I'll see you all in tomorrow's video. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now. Bye.